Hey everybody, we're going to try to silence this. This is essentially a rat. I thought I'd bring it up, and it's a guy, a teen boy out in the Netherlands. Essentially created this as his pet rat. He decided to outfit it so that it's a drone. So this is actually a live, let me expand the screen for you, a live rat. Well, not live anymore. He's dead. He's stuffed. He's preserved. And he had so much admiration for it, he decided to turn it into a drone. Not sure what was the driving force behind that, but it is amazing what some people will do in society today. I don't think I'll be doing that. I don't have a pet rat, first of all, but even if it were my pet dog, I just don't think I would do that, and it makes me wonder what is wrong with people in society today that would lead them to do something like turn their pet rat into a drone. All right, this is Frank Abbruzzino. This is 9/11, and it is a Thursday. I'm going to knock this show out, and then I'm going to try to make our 10 o'clock Patriot ceremony for 9/11 here in Venice. Last year it was a little controversial. They had a speaker that came out there and was very anti-Muslim and just attacking them, and there was a lot of controversy over the mayor not leaving, even though several residents of the local area had left the event. But there's several 9/11 events going on throughout the country. In my area, Sarasota County, we have them happening in Sarasota, in Northport, and here in Venice. It's going to be a hot one out there. I have this, and I got my medical consulting business, obviously, that brings in my bread and puts food on the table. We're going to do that, and then I have to go out and produce my weekend show for radio show later tonight with Phil's gang. So let's get started. It is truly a one-man show. You have me, and I do the reporting, I do the hosting, I do all the research to put the show together. I do all the technical aspects. For after about 5 years of doing a local show, I decided to try and make some money out of a national, international show, and that's why you'll see some ads pop up. They are revenue sharing opportunities, so whenever you click on my page, the uncensoredreport.com, which is directly below you, or you're probably there now if you're watching this, just click any of those ads. You can continue to watch the show and or listen to the show and shop in any one of these ventures. And that's it. So let's do, without further ado, let's get what you're here for. You're not here to look at my ugly mug or to hear me opine on stuff. Unless it's related to the news. And we're going to start off with just ISIS, and then we'll go to a short video. Now, this video was basically put out about before the news conference last night when Obama was considering strikes in Syria. And, you know, I was on the treadmill in the gym today, and I was talking to a local business owner here in Venice, and it's someone that follows me on this show, the National International one, and Lori, and I said, you know, I was listening to Obama's speech, and I took out my headphones and because she was getting off, and I'm like, you know, this guy drives me crazy. Just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, he was sitting there saying, oh, it's ridiculous to think we can put the arms in the Syrian rebels' hands and expect them to go out and fight this state-backed military army that's backed by not only the state of Syria, but Russia and Iran. Then today he's saying he's going to do it. And what really sucks about this, folks, is the fact that this Syrian moderate, and they're not moderate. I don't know why they're referring to them as moderate. They're not. This Syrian-backed army, the Freedom Army of Syria, whatever they call themselves today, they're working in conjunction, and they will tell you they're working in conjunction with ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, all extremist groups, some more extreme than the others. Yet we're going to supply them weapons. And guys, we're not just starting this. He says we're going to start supplying weapons, and then he's asking for even more funding to supply even more weapons to them. We've been supplying. There's a lot of information out there and a lot of speculation that that's what brought on the whole Benghazi thing, that they're essentially taking those weapons and marketing them over to Syria to provide to the Syrian rebels fighting the government. through Turkey and other avenues. And for us to, I'm amazed that what he communicates, what this guy, this Obama character is putting out. And I'm amazed, utterly amazed at what he's doing to our country and how he's dragging us into another conflict. And a lot of this was brought on, too, because he decided that he was going to clear these troops out of Iraq, because ISIS is essentially Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Why wasn't he dealing with the issue back then? It's crazy. So what I'm going to do is we're going to flip you over to this video from Fox News, and I'll be right back after you watch this short video. Thank you.
President Obama set to deliver a primetime address to the nation, laying out his plans to take down the terrorists of ISIS. Good morning to you. I'm John Scott. Welcome to Happening Now. And I'm Shannon Breman. Today for Jenna Lee. The president will make his case directly to the American people tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern. The White House seizing the moment for a primetime address after positive reaction to the president's remarks Sunday on Meet the Press. And after the formation of a new government in Iraq, where Secretary of State John Kerry just met with the prime minister. There are reports that President Obama is ready to order airstrikes on ISIS targets across the border in Syria. We have live Fox team coverage. John Huddy is covering the Secretary of State from our Middle East newsroom. But we begin with national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Jennifer, what more is the president, expected to announce?
Well, John, we're told the president is going to ramp up the pace of airstrikes over ISIS targets in Iraq, but he'll stop short of directly announcing U.S. strikes on the terror organization's hub inside Syria. However, he may hint at it, we're told. You may remember this quote from Vice President Biden.
We take care of those who are grieving, and when that's finished, they should know we will follow them to the gates of hell until they are brought to justice. Because hell is where they will reside.
One senior administration official here says that strong language about chasing them was no accident. And even if the president doesn't directly announce it tonight, we should expect airstrikes inside Syria within the next 30 days. Strategically, it's agreed that hitting ISIS inside Syria would be effective, but the optics of helping Syrian President Bashar Assad has seriously delayed that decision so far, John.
What about more boots on the ground? Any decision from the president on that?
Well, we're hearing he will put more boots on the ground, again in the form of these so-called advisors.
And indeed he is. I think it's 455 boots on the ground that are going to be advisors. But folks, come on. The optic of helping Syria. Look, Assad's a bad guy. But he's no worse than Putin. He's no worse than Obama. You know, Obama, you guys can sit there and think that Obama doesn't do anything, but Obama's over there bombing innocent people and killing millions under the guise of peace. He's spying on millions here in the United States in the guise of safety. This guy is evil. You know, I don't care how you slice or dice it. He's no better than a Putin or Assad. And why do we want Assad out there? I tell you what, does he think that these rebels will be any better at managing the government? It's just like Mubarak in Egypt. He wanted Mubarak out of there. You get Mubarak out of there and you get the Muslim Brotherhood in there. Which one's better, folks? I'm here to argue Mubarak is. Muslim Brotherhood's way more extreme, way more worse than the Mubarak. And the same with Assad. It may not be a perfect picture, but it's a lot better than it will be under an extremist rebel group that has ties to ISIS, to al-Nusra, to al-Qaeda. Wake up, folks. We can continue to listen to this guy. We can continue to buy the bullshit crap line he's putting out, or we can wake up and smell the coffee and stop being cheap. There is something seriously flawed, something seriously wrong here. And whenever I hear this idiot go out and say this stuff, it's like, I can't believe the American people are going to buy this. It's funny, I had my sister, who's one of my sisters, Rosa. I have two that live in Italy. And Rosa wrote me in Italian. She's like, she sent me an Italian article, and it's basically saying we're going to war with ISIS. And she's like, is America going to war? And they're all freaked out over there. But, you know, Obama couldn't even declare war on ISIS. And Obama is bringing a lot of this stuff on himself, folks. And I'm getting tired of it. And you should be too. We'll be right back after this message. 1-800-PET-MEDS. Yes, get your pet essentials, your medicines, your collars, everything you need online. And guess what? You'll be supporting the operations of this great station, the Uncensored Report. So go to my website, click on the icon for 1-800-PET-MEDS, and help us continue the information war that's going on out there. Get some of this great apparel from theroguegrant.com or the Uncensored Report or theviniscoop.com. We have hats, shirts, coffee mugs. They say educate, inspire, and change. Or for my Scoop fans, it'll say the Venice Scoop, Sarasota Scoop, etc. Help me with this operation so I can continue to get a fresh perspective on the news out to the masses. Thanks a lot, and have a great day. Just go to my website and click on the icon. All right, folks, we're back. Let me get rid of that echo. Now we're going to talk about the police state and if resistance is futile and what the violent cost might be from challenging this police state that we now find ourselves in under this new thin blue line. And, you know, some people may view this as harsh towards police, but look, the biggest issue I think we have right now is the dumbed down folks out there, the folks watching reality TV, the folks that just don't understand or get or follow any of the news. I think there are many outstanding police out there. I could talk for a lot of the police I know here. I'm talking the upper echelons, like the Chief McNulty here locally is good. Rose, I went to school with them, and a lot of the lieutenants and chiefs. But some of the lower level people aren't that great. They're bad apples in the barrel. But the problem is whenever you're critical of something they're doing, everyone takes it as though you're coming down on the entire force. And then next thing you know, they're letting these people off. And that's the other thing is the leniency. The bottom line, folks, is just like this activist, Christian Williams, said, police are specialists in violence. They're armed, they're trained, they're authorized to use force. Without varying degrees of subtlety, these colors their every action. Like the possibility of an arrest. The threat of violence is implicit, basically in every police encounter. And I'm not talking about violence going out and beating up a guy. Just look, I was watching Cops last night. Violence was there when they took this guy down. Now, part of violence is there because they're not sure what the guy's going to do. I get that. But it is violence. Be it good or bad, it is considered violence. And, just because I say it's violent doesn't make it bad. It could be a good way because, like in this Cops movie, I understand why they use violence to bring this guy down. But it is, as out there, it is what's represented. If you don't want to get probed, you don't want to get poked, you don't want to get tasered, you don't want to get tackled or searched, stripped, manhandled, arrested, shot, possibly killed, don't even suggest anything that even hints at noncompliance with an officer when he pulls you over. This is the new thin blue line out there, folks. You can never cross it with the police. You want to walk away and keep your freedoms intact. I challenge you to sit there and challenge an officer when he stops you on the constitutionality of the stop. Question, why are you pulling me over? And see if he's giving you a BS line, question it. It will not end pretty for you, folks. And it should not be that way. I was in an incident coming down I-4, and I questioned the guy on it. Next thing I know, he's treating me like I'm some kind of drug kingpin with my two lovely kids, my wife, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I called the supervisor. They said, tough luck. That was before all the videotaping that's going on now. And even with the videotaping, they're saying, tough luck. There's a lot of incidents. I can go over a few right now that should serve as a chilling reminder as to what's happening in our police state. We're basically at the mercy of law enforcement officers who have almost absolute discretion to decide who is a threat and who is not, who constitutes resistance, which doesn't, how harsh they can be, how in their process of protecting and serving. They got this one example, and this is, I'm going to slaughter the name, Chamutali Hook. We'll call him Hook. She failed to, this article says she basically failed to promptly comply with an order to move along while she was waiting outside Ruby Tuesday's restaurants for her children. She's like, hey, I'm just sitting here. I'm waiting for my kids outside of Ruby Tuesdays. Cops wanted her to move along. The kids were inside with their father, and she, using the bathroom, doing whatever they do. My wife does it all the time. Well, she'll go outside and smoke a cigarette as we're waiting to pay the bill. So the cops come along. They flipped her around, pressed her up against the wall because she would not move. Handcuffed her, searched her purse, arrested her, told her to shut up when she was crying out for help, and then detained her for 9 hours. They charged her with obstructing government administration, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct, all because she was standing outside of a restaurant waiting for her father and 2 kids to come out while they used the bathroom. So like I said, be warned. If you do not attempt to walk away, be warned that the consequences will likely be even worse. And there's a few other situations here where individuals, this article that they put out, who put this out? What's the guy's name? John Whitehead. And he went through on and on through various instances where people their rights are being violated. And it's that mindset. That mindset that if you challenge the police authority is a threat that needs to be neutralized. They need to take it down. If you challenge their authority, it's a dangerous situation. And this is a greater nationwide trend that goes beyond our Fourth Amendment. Officers are basically allowed to operate under the assumption that their word is law and that there's no room for any other disagreement or even questioning their word. And again, this serves to chill the First Amendment assurance of free speech, free assembly, the right to petition the government, redress grievances. It doesn't matter if it's just a casual show your ID request on the boardwalk when you don't have to. If you question them, why do I need to show you my ID? I'm not doing anything. I dare you to do that and see what happens. A stop and frisk search on the street or a traffic stop for speeding or just checking your insurance. If you feel like you can't walk away from the police encounter on your own volition, and more often than not you can't, you'll be confronted by someone armed, ready to take some type of militarized action against you. And we need to stop this, folks. We need to be concerned. So the short answer is that anything short of compliance will get you arrested, will get you some time in jail. Be it an hour, be it 10 days. The long answer is a little more complicated, though. It's a little bit more convoluted. Sorry, I was getting distracted with the call. And it's full of legal jargon and dissidents in the courts. But basically, the key word here is comply, meaning obey, submit, or conform. And this is what the police want. And is it right? That's the question. Is it right? Where's our freedom? Where's our rights? When police officers cease to look and act like civil servants or peace officers, but instead look and act like soldiers occupying a hostile territory, it alters the perception of what we the people, those who founded this country, believed, and we the masters, and those whose salaries we pay with our hard-earned tax dollars, and how they violate their commitment as a servant of the state. If daring to question, challenge, or even hesitate when a cop issues an order can get you charged with resisting arrest or disorderly conduct like this Hawk person, you're not the master in a master-servant relationship, folks. In fact, you're not even the servant, you're the slave. And this is not freedom, this is not even life. This is a battlefield, a war zone, hence why they're militarized now. Governed by martial laws that we have seen, disguised as democracy. No matter how many ways you fancy it up with shopping malls, populist elections, Monday Night Football, the fact remains that we the people are little more than prisoners in the American police state. And the police are the jailers and the wardens, and we need to be wary of many of them. Unfortunately, that's where we ended up. We'll be right back after this message.
Is your money manager giving you safety and security? Wouldn't you like to make your money work harder for you? Then you should consider joining philsgang.com, where thousands of individual investors have successfully profited.
This year I'm up 60% on my portfolio. Following your system has been fantastic. I've been with you for about a month and a half now, and I'm already up 7%.
I've been in the business for a long time, and you're really one of the best I've ever heard.
Well, I just want to let you know what a great teacher you are.
For over a decade, philsgang.com's Phil Grandy and Donald Cogswell have been teaching, coaching, and investing right along with all Phil's Gang members.
I want to thank Donnie for market rep. I bought 2,500 shares of AUI and sold it this morning at $820 profit.
Why not join thousands of satisfied Phil's Gang customers today? Go to philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264. Call today.
All right, folks, and we are back with my echo. There we go. The echo shut down. All right. Now we're going to go into a little bit about Ebola. As you know, and I say this at every show, I basically been tracking it from the beginning, and major network TV, major media, commercial media, started following it around the 100 death mark, and then you saw it ramped up around the 1,000 death mark. We're at 2,000. I'm not hearing as much out there anymore. I don't know if the propagandists were told by the government to hush down or what, but 15 more countries, they're saying, are at risk, and this is from Oxford University. And they say that these 15 countries, according to calculations that they performed, are at risk because they're species of fruit bat that are suspected in carrying disease without displaying any symptoms. And this new publication they put out, it's the eLife Journal, examines how the disease could spread through the animal kingdom and into the human beings. And they say because these fruit bats, they carry disease without showing any signs and are able to migrate and transfer to other animals, especially monkeys and rodents. These monkeys, which are being used as bushmeat, while consumption may not necessarily cause Ebola, preparation of the raw infected meat gives you a chance of the infection. So they're saying the countries that are more at risk are obviously Zaire, Nigeria, Cameroon, CAR, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Angola, Tanzania, Togo, Ethiopia, Mozambique, Burundi, Ecuador, Guinea, Madagascar, and Malawi. And they just go on through all these different countries, basically saying where it's at. And right now they show, yesterday they had the death jumped to 200 people just yesterday. And it's up to 2,296 people. If you recall, when I did Monday's show, I think it was over 2,000. I think it was on Monday's show. And so, as you can see, people are starting to die. It's starting to have an impact out there. As a matter of fact, Liberia's here. First, we'll go into the martial law, and then I'm going to tell you something that's even more scarier, how the United States is possibly being blamed for this. But Sierra Leone, and along with other African countries, they're ordering that people stay confined to their house. Now, this is for 3 days. And they're doing this because the virus continues to spread and kill, so the authorities are becoming more authoritarian and attempting to deal with this deadly disease. And so what they're doing is they're saying, look, we're going to go ahead and impose martial law, essentially, where you got to stay inside your house for up to 3 days, and they're doing it later next month. I'm not sure why they're not doing it now. The government spokesperson said ordering them to remain in the house for those days will allow people to get all their food and everything ahead of time. Now, this is actually in 8 days. It's the 11th. It starts on the 19th, where for 3 days, they will not be able to leave. And they said they're going to strictly enforce it. They've got several ambulances and military vehicles and a 7,000 strong patrol or healthcare workers that are out there to control the movement ban. And they're hoping by controlling and containing for these 3 days, it will help them. I don't see it happening. And remember, folks, this thing stays dormant for 21 days. So you could sit there for 3 days in isolation and not really get anywhere. And so there's a lot of people that are skeptical out there. And will this even work? Or is it just another way of introducing martial law into Sierra Leone? You know, and their healthcare system over there is just crumbling, especially with this Ebola. They don't have the wherewithal to contain it, control it, sustain it. They don't have it. Then you jump over to Liberia. Their largest newspaper, Monrovia, the capital. And they published a conspiracy theory in one of their columns that basically states that the United States is directly responsible for scientifically engineering the Ebola virus and using it as a bioterrorism lab and injecting into Africans this disease under the guise of vaccination. And they're doing that because before, people were being injected with stuff when they returned it as a vaccination by the United States. They are claiming that Ebola and HIV were created and are being used as a bioterrorism weapon against Africans by the United States. And, they're putting that out. A lot of these individuals, unfortunately, in these countries are not the most educated. When the government puts it out, they may be prone to believe it, which may cause even more issues. They concluded that by calling the class action, what they did is class action lawsuit to try to combat the Ebola virus. This article goes on. It just talks about how this guy just went through this whole diatribe, basically blaming the United States. Now, could it be true? I don't know. Everybody would love to believe that the United States wouldn't do this, but it is on record that we've done stuff like this before. I know it sucks to believe it. It sucks to accept it. But it is reality, folks. It is reality. We'll be right back. 1-800-PET-MEDS. Yes, get your pet essentials, your medicines, your collars, everything you need online. And guess what? You'll be supporting the operations of this great station, the Uncensored Report. So go to my website. Click on the icon for 1-800-PET-MEDS and help us continue the information war that's going on out there. Check out My Patriot Supply. They got the straw there. That straw is great. I tell you what, folks, you can go out and basically, if we're in a critical situation and there's a massive hurricane, there's no water, guess what? You use these straws, the life straw, out there in the pond, and it cleans out all the water and gets you filtered water. How can you beat it? Check it out. Check the product and much more, and help support the operations at theuncensoredreport.com. All right, folks, we are back with that echo. I always forget to take off. There we go. Okay, now we're going to pop over and talk just a little bit about the Ukraine crisis, because this is a continued crisis that we need to stay on top of, continue to be cognizant of it, observing everything that's taking place there. We just heard yesterday, I think it was, where Russia was simulating nuclear attacks or nuclear bombings on the U.S., and the rhetoric continues to heat up. Even though we have Ebola out there to distract us, we have the Israel-Palestinian conflict to distract us, and more importantly, what's just happening now is we have the potential bombing in Syria to distract us. You still got the Ukraine crisis. And here's what it is this is basically a victory for Putin, because I think a lot of people are starting to see that America was behind the uprising, was behind the replacement of the government, and is doing a lot of their nation building behind the scenes and trying to come across as though, we had nothing to do with it. Now, you got the ceasefire, and it's happening in the Ukraine. It's not holding up tremendously. It is a victory for Russia. And, essentially, we're not sure it will hold, okay? Because you got this right-wing Kiev militia out there, and they're basically not under Kiev's complete control. These are the Nazis. They violated ceasefire a few times. And moreover, the billionaire oligarchs from Washington have installed in Kiev a president who is a banker, He's one of these guys that is out there to be a puppet for the United States. And the question that comes into mind is, will he fear Putin, or will he continue to follow what the United States dictates? And Russia's response to the trouble that Washington has caused in Russia and Ukraine, longer a part of Russia that the U.S. exists is a mystery. Russia lost Ukraine because its weakness when the Soviet Union collapsed, and Washington has been trying to take over and influence them as much as they could. They forced Russia to permit this independent Ukraine, which served our purpose in breaking them up. And that was a few years ago. The Western Ukrainians who fought for Hitler during the World War II maintained an impressive lobby organization in Washington. They secured their independent country, but they did not control the Ukraine because of a lot of it, Russian territories that are part of it, going way back, the interrelationship of marriages between Russians and Ukrainians. And this frustrates a lot of the neoconservatives that are out there in America. But as it was with Rome, dynasties are now the source of U.S. presidential leaderships. And as in Rome, the U.S. on its pathway to destruction, which occurs when ambitious leaders try to set precedents over other states. Keeping the Ukraine out of NATO is no doubt a goal of the Russian government. They want them out. However, the trouble that Washington brought into Russia with the Ukraine by orchestrating the coup, installing a puppet government, and unleashing the violence of the residents on the Russian territories is being used for wider purposes than to incorporate the Ukraine into NATO. Basically, in other words, Washington's strategic goal go beyond NATO membership with NATO. And I think a lot of us realize that. The goal to break apart the economic and political relationships between Europe and Russia, and they're using the Ukraine to essentially go out and demonize Russia. So you got that distrust, the distrust that Washington's created. And they've demonstrated to Russia that they bought and paid the European politicians, and they're willing to have foreign policies independent of Washington. Another Washington goal out there is to build up military forces on Russia's border, and they're using NATO as a means to get into there, to stroke fear of Russia in the Baltics and Poland. And then you got the propagandist media, commercial media in the West. And basically, they've misrepresented the situation in Ukraine. You don't hear too much about us giving them $5 billion to support the uprising, about the leaked phone calls with Newland in regards to setting up the puppet government. You don't hear anything about that. In place of news coverage, there has been propaganda against Russia. And Western people who rely on the media are ill-informed on the Ukraine, just like they are on Syria. And the fact that American people are misinformed makes it easy for Washington to continue to go out there and orchestrate these events against Russia, against Syria, against Iraq. They have no interest in resolving the conflict in Ukraine. Actually, it's counter to what would benefit them in the militarized industrial complex. And Washington has basically successfully used the Ukraine to create fear of Russia both in Europe and the United States. Everyone's afraid now that there's going to be some kind of war. As the Kiev government is Washington's puppet, those who follow the news and don't just watch the commercial media, propagandist, major media, understand this. We know this. We've read the facts. We know what's on record. So there's no reason to expect a resolution over there. None whatsoever. You know, what will Russia do? Who knows? Probably their response will be to turn off the gas for the winter without warning. All of it. And say, screw you guys in the West. That might bring an end to the Washington's assault on Russia. The European powers would not like that. They rely heavily on it. Then you got these neoconservatives, these blue-blooded Republicans. They're deranged warmongers out there. They just want to go out and drop bombs everywhere like freaking McCain. They're denouncing Obama's weakness and pushing him into the corner, wanting him to send troops, wanting him to take action everywhere. These neocons who have involved the U.S. since the Clinton regime into costly and failed military aggressions abroad, folks. And I'm a Republican, but I think they're idiots. I don't trust them. I know what they've been doing. Just because I side more with the right doesn't mean you go ahead and give them carte blanche to do whatever they do. Same with the left. You got to hold them accountable. Why the heck are we going to send our boys, our men, our brothers in arms as a vet into these situations? It's for you guys to decide. Now, next we're going to be covering about a little bit of financials. One story involves hoarding money. And the United States doesn't like that because they want you to spend to bring the economy out. They believe that this debt-ridden society will free up the economy and make them look good. Meanwhile, the average American suffers with all the debt, and the bankers are the ones that walk away smelling good. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, this is Frankie, and I'm here today to introduce Longevity. It's a great nutritional supplement to anybody that's eating right or not eating right. I take supplements on a regular basis, and Longevity cannot be beat, especially at some of the great price points. So go to theroguerant.com or theuncensoredreport.com and click on Shop. Go down to Longevity, click on it, and you'll be helping out the operations of the station so that we can continue to bring you a fresh perspective on alternative news. Longevity, check it out today. Did you know that the Bead Room, Macy's, and Sam's Club are now part of my organization where we are doing a revenue sharing program? So go to my webpage, theuncensoredreport.com. Click on any of those 3 links and take advantage of some of the free shipping or discounts that you may get. In return, you're supporting the operation and allowing me to continue to get the message out, both locally, nationally, and internationally. Thanks for supporting the program. All right, let's talk a little bit about finance now. And you know what? Before I go into finance, I did want to say one thing. I ran a Phil Grande commercial, I think 2 segments ago. Look, right now he's offering, if you go to philsgang.com/scoop, you can take advantage of a free webinar. It's normally $75. Phil is nationally syndicated. He's known for being able to use charts to make money and do it in a great manner with minimal loss to many of the people that subscribe to his gang. So check it out. It's free. You get it starts at Saturday 12 when I run my local show. I got to talk to Phil why he did that. But you get access to it for 2 weeks, the same show. So you can actually watch my show and then go back and catch access to that webinar anytime. But it shows you how to use charts to make money and to be successful playing the market. So check it out, philsgang.com/scoop anytime. Now we're going to talk about hoarding money and how the feds are saying it's bad for the economy, and these guys are to blame, these hoarders. And despite arguments to the contrary from the Obama admin, there's mounting evidence that suggests that the U.S. economy is rapidly falling back into negative growth territory. Many people will tell you that. Many people outside Obama's administration. More Americans are without work in the workforce than ever before, or they're taking low-paying jobs. Median household incomes are levels not seen since 1967. Why is that? Low-paying jobs. The 30-hour work week now. Consumer spending has come to basically a standstill. This will not help Obama's economy. So this crisis apparently so significant that the Federal Reserve Governor recently said U.S. policymakers are crafting regulations that will force bank depositors to cover any losses should a financial institution fail. And that is another concern. The FDCC, they're almost bankrupt with all the small bank bailouts. I tell you what, though, if a bank like Bank of America goes down, I don't care what their promises will be, they will not be able to cover it. They couldn't handle it. There's no way this country, the government, could come up and support and back that up. So they could say whatever they want. I don't know if I'll buy into it. So the question that many of us are asking is, how did all this happen? How, after 6 years of recovery and efforts and trillions of dollars that are being printed by the Federal Reserve, is it possible that the economy is not even booming? You know, the Federal Reserve this week, they published a report that claims to have figured it all out. And it turns out that the economic downturn has nothing to do with the foreign outsourcing, has nothing to do with high taxation, increased health care through Obamacare, rising CPI, rising cost of energy. It has nothing to do with that. It's the hoarders, the people that are holding on to their money and not spending. And you're at fault. You're to blame for the economy. You see, the Obama administration, they always look for people to blame. Blame Bush. Blame the kids on the illegal situation. blame you for hoarding money. You are not spending enough money out there. In order for this economy to recover, you need to stop hoarding your cash now. Get out there, start buying homes, cars, vacations, electronics. Put yourself in debt so that America can thrive again. So that more entitlements, so that they can pay off the existing entitlements and introduce more entitlements. Yes, they want the rich to go out there and spend money for the poor. Top-tier economists. They're unable to grasp why consumers have decided to hoard their money. Why? Why? That's their question. Why don't they trust the banks? Why are they hoarding their money? Why aren't they out there spending? Because Americans are concerned. We've been pummeled over the last decade. With losses, increased food prices, electricity. It's scary out there. I don't care what the government tells you. It is scary out there. And people are hoarding their money over concern as to what this country, what our economy will look like in a few years. Over 77 million Americans currently have debt collection accounts. 25% of Americans have absolutely no emergency cash. I have a friend, Jennifer. She passed away this weekend. They have $0, no money. So, and her parents aren't well-to-do. Her husband's parents said, "Get lost. They're not going to help for some reason," and obviously more to the story. So now they can't even pay to have their daughter cremated, and they're trying to raise funds for it. What's happening to our society, folks? This is a shame. And I don't know if it's as much that Americans are hoarding money, because that whole phrase suggests a greedy people sticking piles of money under their mattress. And I think the fact is that most Americans don't have money left to spend. If you get out there like I do, I run a local media, Scoop Pages, I hear a lot about it. I don't think it's hoarding. I think a small percentage might be hoarding of the wealthy and rich, but most people don't have money to live payday to payday. Think about it, folks. You should be concerned. This hoarding. What is this hoarding? It's whatever they say it is, right? Right now, tens of millions of Americans are unable to put food on their table or buy the basic stuff, the basic expenses. Yet the Federal Reserve wants to get out there and call us a bunch of greedy hoarders because we're not spending money out to save the banks, save corporate America. As we face this crisis in America on a scale never seen before, the government is attempting to change and rewrite the story. And in the end, when the worst of it hits the people and they start rioting in the streets because they can't afford food or shelter, they'll turn the blame on those damn hoarders. Those damn hoarders brought down the economy because they were selfish. They saved their cash, their precious metals. They stored long-term foods for emergency. They brought down the economy. That's what Obama will say. Now, this may all sound outlandish, but until you consider that this is how all tyrants and authoritarian governments have operated since the beginning of human civilization, then you won't get it. So I tell you what, hoarders, beware. They're coming after you. They want your money. You need to stop hoarding it. Now, how about this idea, though? CFR. They want to float a free money idea. Handing out money for nothing to do. It'll send inflation through the roof, but that's not a big deal, right? They don't care about that stuff. But wait until you hear who they want to give the money to. How they want to save the economy. They want to give paper away to the top 99%ers. Yes, the rich. They want to give money to the rich. Are you getting this? Are you listening? Are you hearing this? So instead of trying to spur private sector spending through asset purchases or interest rate changes, the central banks, such as the Fed, they want them to hand consumers the cash directly. Free money scheme, cranking up and printing presses and handing out nearly worthless paper dollars. They think this will solve the nightmare, and it won't, folks. This free money scheme is predicated on government insistence that inflation is low, and it's not low. So they figure, hey, it's low. Let's add trillions of dollars into the economy. It will have an adverse effect. There is no low inflation. The CPI used by the government and Federal Reserve is no longer a tool to accurately measure inflation. I've talked about this many times on the show. It's an instrument of propaganda. It's out there. The government's using it as propaganda to tell you that times are good, times are perfect. But the true indicator is when you go into that store, when you go and buy groceries, when you go and get your kids new clothes for school, when you go out and buy gas. You will see that the inflation rate is not 1.5%. It's probably 7 to 10%. But that would not bode well for the government. You knowing that, understanding that, would not work. So they use these fake inflated numbers. And they don't let people know the real numbers out there. But I'm telling you, we Americans are not so dumbed down that we don't know what the numbers are. We clearly know the numbers. And we're not buying into what the government's going to try to sell. Like I said, the real marker to measure inflation is food, trips. Go to the grocery store. And then come back here and tell me that inflation is only 1.5%. It's not, folks. The real culprit behind food inflation is all this freaking money the government's printing. This quantitative easing, QE they call it. It's been going on over 12 months. They said hopefully it'll end by October, but I don't think it will, folks. It'll continue because it drives up the stock market. It makes Obama look good. But I tell you what, and I've said this before, we're the reserve currency. You got the BRIC countries now. You got China and oil selling in not dollars anymore in their own currency. What's going to happen when we're no longer the reserve currency? And we have to actually institute some form of austerity, like in Greece, Spain, Italy. It will not be pretty, folks. It will not be pretty at all. Inflation is directly attributable to government monetary expansion. Increase the size of the nation's money supply. Dollar bills. It's driving up inflation, driving down the value of the dollar. While printing up tons of devalued dollars and handling them out to undoubtedly be popular amongst many of those 99%ers out there, it will be a serious exasperate the inflation. It's just like the $15 minimum wage, folks. You give that out to all these people, it's going to drive up the prices. It's going to drive up inflation. But they don't look at that. Just like handing money out to 99%ers. They're going to say, hey, money, 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 I get money. They're not going to look at the fact that it's going to drive up pricing even more. They don't care about that stuff for some reason. The government knows that. They know that most of us are dumbed down. And they're going to take advantage of us. And we need to ensure that this type of stuff does not happen. Folks, we cannot have it happen. So, I had this article. It covers essentially the 37 lies that are out there, that the government puts out there, that American tells themselves to avoid reality. Basically, it illustrates a huge detachment from reality. The continued operations of modern society, it seems, depends upon people that don't have actual knowledge of reality. Denial could be it. Dumbed down from reality TV could be it. But the whole problem with this denial approach is that eventually the lies collide with reality. Until the day comes when the happy-go-lucky Americans are merely enjoying courtship and self-delusion. And so they put out these lies, this article. Lies such as food prices keep going up because inflation is a natural source that can't be halted. That's not accurate, folks. That's not accurate at all. How about the FDA because they approve medication it's safe? Bull crap, folks. They're not out. FDA is not out there protecting people. Do your research. That's all I'm going to say. Do your research. We have 2 whistleblowers recently that came out against the whole vaccination scheme. Do your research. That mainstream media is telling the truth when they report world events. They're propagandists, folks. They tell whatever their agenda is out there. Whoever's paying their advertising budget dictates. Whatever their owners dictate. Go to MSNBC. See if you're getting the full truth there, folks. Chemical food additives are tested and safe. Yeah, right. That we can pump groundwater forever and there's no water scarcity issue right now. that shipping all the water from the lakes over to China, thanks to Obama's executive order, is fine. If anything bad happens in terms of national emergency or natural disaster, the government will be there to take care of us. Right. Look at Katrina. It doesn't matter where the food comes from, as long as it's cheap and delicious. I don't care if it's going to kill me. GMOs, they must be safe to eat because a bunch of scientists have created and invented this thing, and it's a good thing. Government debt doesn't matter. It simply creates more money. Mercury in vaccines must be safe if it's injected into children. Again, talk to the whistleblower. It isn't, folks. Organic produce is a waste of money. Yeah, right. But these lies just go on and on. There's like 37 different lies. My oncologist recommends chemotherapy treatment for me only because he cares about my well-being. And not because they sell chemotherapy drugs and that they're making a ton of money by me doing this. I'm in the medical industry. Before I came in here, medical billing, I used to think doctors were like that. I used to think, hey, doctors are out for your best interest. They would never be about the money. I've learned they're there for the money, folks. You need to be very careful and question your medical bills when you go to doctors. Very few of them are out there to help the person, help the people. The government is not secretly reporting my phone calls. They would never do that. Google will not do no evil. They're out there to help us out. Radiation release from Fukushima wasn't bad. Forget about all the dead fish that are showing up and all the illnesses they're getting from it. Autism isn't caused by vaccines. Forget what the whistleblower is coming out and saying this week. It goes on and on, folks. And until we wake up to some of these ills of society, until we stop believing in everything that's spoon-fed to us, we're going to continue to have issues. We're going to continue to have the government walk all over us and do whatever they want. We need to wake up. Stop being sheep. Stop watching TV, reality TV. Watch a damn documentary. Go out there and do some research on the internet. Instead of hanging out on Facebook, go out and do research. My whole idea behind Facebook with my Educate, Inspire, and Change page was to get the information out there and hope that people will read it. But a lot of people don't. They think it's crazy talk. Even though it's documented, it's recorded, it's factual. I still get that on my local media. When I put out something factual, they don't want to believe it, so they call you a liar. It's time to wake up. Smell the coffee. Take back our government. Do what's right for the people. I hate this two-party system. I loved it in Italy. When I was in Italy, they had like 20 different parties running for government. And I thought that's amazing. We don't have that in the United States. Why? If we're the land of democracy, land of the free. Think about it, folks. All right, that's the show. Remember to visit theuncensoredreport.com to any of my advertisers. I get revenue generated from them. If you appreciate the show, share it. Share my page. Share my page links. Do what we can. We need to continue to get out there, educate the people, inspire people, and affect change. This has been Frankie with the Francesco Abbruzzino Show. Everybody have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Okay, see ya.